has been quite a while since I have done a live on YouTube. Like 5, 6, 7 years ago. Yay. I remember I used to have access to being able to do it on my phone, but then they put in a lock where they were like, oh, you have to have a certain number of followers to be able to do a live stream on your phone. And I didn't have that function anymore, and that was a bummer. But anyway, yay, it's back. I don't imagine anyone's going to be checking this out. Maybe live. Maybe check the on demand. I'm pretty dull and boring, so probably not. That being said, exciting. Okay, the point is to do some reading. I will try and do some reading. I'll see what happens. And yeah, if it's a 20-minute stream or longer, I don't know. I guess I'll set a timer. I don't even know if my earbud is working. Oh, can I do a sound check? Ooh, always nice to be able to do sound checks when one expects sound to be happening. And I might as well get a little familiar with, a poll. Okay, that's fun times. Okay. Chat. Yes, I don't expect it to be an issue. Mm-hmm. Color. Mute the mouse. Pardon me, not the mouse, the microphone. What that did, what that didn't do, I won't know until I'm checking this out later. I am going blind, as in I'm not using a backup, because sometimes you just don't want to have to deal with the feedback. And that is, okay, I was thinking, color, change color. I don't need a filter, it's fine. Okay, and then what is this one? Highlight saved. Oh, hi, someone's here. Howdy. Thanks for popping in. Okay, I was just trying to get reacquainted with how YouTube Live works on the phone. It's been like at least 5 years since I did that. Oh, other people maybe. Random. Okay. Yeah, so I'm just kind of playing around. I see one person watching, but a lot of random comments, question mark. Oh, now I see more than one person. Oh, cool beans. Okay, so anyway, yeah, I was just saying, it has been quite a while since I was doing YouTube Live on my phone, at least 5 years. It used to be you didn't need any special anything to be able to do it. So I was doing it pretty regularly back when I was also regularly doing Twitch. And then they were like, oh, let's put a lock on there. You have to have this number of followers before you can do a live. I don't know if it's the same thing or not. Oh, super random, but of course, happy birthday to you, that one Mexico white kid. See, El Uno, Blanco, I know that's blonde. The Mexicano y Niño, something like that. I don't know. I'm way better at Spanglish than I am at Spanish. But either way, happy birthday, Feliz Cumpleaños. So I'll see if anyone else has anything they want to say. I was planning must be doing reading. Dancing is a thing if anyone's interested. We gotta let me know though. I don't know if anyone is particularly interested in C++. But that's kind of why I got a little busy. Was I was doing grad school for 4 years doing computer science, and right now I'm finding out. I thought I'd have an easier time figuring out work. Wow, who knew? Okay. Anybody have any? Huh? Oh, it's going great. Mellow kind of day. Saturdays are great. The typical Saturday. I went out to try and do an activity. Didn't quite pan out. Gonna try again later. How about you, Doggy? You having a good day? If you're still here, I know I'm down to one. I don't know who's here. Apparently everyone's gone. Okay. All right then. Maybe some people will be popping in later. Okay, that was fun. Oh, two people, hello. Okay, so, oh, you are. Awesome. I don't know. I guess my kill counter is just going to keep doing on things. So this is the book I'm talking about. Got it from the library back in May. I'm like, oh, I'm going to be totally finishing this book in no time. Again, got it back in May. Still have it. Fun me. Taking forever to do anything, but it did take me 4 whole years to get through grad school. And then when you count the time it took to... Thank you. Thank you for seeing that. Superman 1975. I appreciate that. But yeah, so this is this fun book right here. So this right here is from the library. It's probably at your local library if anyone's interested in that. There's probably digital versions available if you're interested in that. Yes, it is a big book. But what's great about this is it's actually the way it's set up. It says right here, 6-in-1 books. So it's basically 6 little books. So there's some stuff in case anyone wants to try to get it. I know I don't have the best lighting ever with the face cam, but you know, that's how it's gonna go because I don't feel like making my eyes hurt today. So that was the back of the book. This is the front of the book. And just in case anyone wants to read that ISBN number, because that's always the quickest way to look up a book. Oh, and right now I'm just doing teacher time. Don't mind me. That's kind of what I do for my job. Ah, I might be alone again. She brings out the books and the people go, poof, disappeared. But yeah, if you notice in the table of contents, right here, it actually has it broken down based on what book. Hello, Black Supreme 10. What's up? How you doing? Pausing for a comment. Great. I'm doing okay. Just went out to go and try to do a quick errand. Didn't quite pan out. I'll just have to try again later. Hopefully everything goes well. And it ends up being just a small thing. A lot of this year has been things that should have been small things and then went crazy times. So who knows? Oh, I went to go and see about getting a tire patched. I got to the place. They closed at 1. And, you know, it was like 30 something. So, you know, that happens. Other things, I don't have enough time to get into all the other crazy stuff that's been going on. I mean, that's minor, which is, I like it. That's why it's a good day. Tatum Shreve, here's a shout out. Shouting out, woo! Why didn't I go to Walmart? Oh, the Walmart that is by where I was actually doesn't have a tire place. I'm a former Walmart employee, so I know for a fact like only certain locations have those things. But yeah, best case I'll just go back on, if not Monday, then Tuesday. Alrighty. More book talk, I guess. Okay, so, oh, okay. Oh, book. This is a book right here. That's easy. It's called C For Dummies. Someone mentioned how it's a big book, and I was just going into how it says it's actually 6 books in one. And when you look at the table of contents, they say right here, the book 1 is about, I can't read backwards, getting started with C++. And then book 2 is about creating your first C++ application. I mean, no, that's far. C++, my bad. That's a chapter. Let's just do that. So first book 1 is getting started with C++. So the first chapter in that book is about configuring your system. And the second chapter is about creating your first C++ application. And the third chapter is about storing the data in C++. And then the next chapter, chapter 4, is about directing the application flow. It's right on there. And then chapter 5 is about dividing your work into functions. No kids for me. I think my clock is clocking out pretty soon. Yeah, that's okay. I have a niece and nephew I can spoil like crazy on top of what they're already getting spoiled. Chapter 6 is creating splitting up the source code files. And then chapter 7 is referring to your data through pointers. Now anything with C, C++, C#, where you get to play around with the pointers, it's awesome. You got all kinds of control over things, but then you run the risk, if you don't do it quite right, of breaking so many things within your system. Not fun. So you gotta be very careful. That's why something like a Java, they like to hide all of that stuff, and they say, no, we can't trust your silly self to do it. We're gonna do it. Okay. And then chapter 8 is working with classes. And chapter 9 is using advanced C++ features. All right. So then they go into book 2, and book 2 is called Understanding Objects and Classes. So it's kind of like, okay, we introduced to you objects and classes, but now we really want to get down into the fine grain of things. So those chapters are planning and building objects. Oh, I hope that the buzz that I'm hearing in my ear is not translating to the microphone, assuming that it's actually this microphone that's picking up the sound from my voice and not that microphone. I'm not sure, I can't tell. Anyway, chapter 2, let me know if there's any buzz. Chapter 2, describing your program with UML. That is where I'm at. Finally, like, I've had this since May and I just got to book 2. But yeah, so chapter 3 is structuring your classes with UML. Chapter 4 is demonstrating behavior with UML. Chapter 5 is modeling your applications with UML. Oh, thanks for seeing that, Black Supreme10. I don't know about all that, but I do appreciate hearing that from you. Thank you. And then chapter 6 is building with design patterns. All right, and then it goes into book 3. Not buzzing? Okay, great. That's awesome. Yeah, this is some weird piece of tech. The left one, perfect. This one, just all kinds of weird things going. Learn stuff. Yeah, see, that's what I like. I like learning and helping people with their learning. So, all right. Sounds like a plan. Okay, so then book 3, it's all called Fixing Problems. Right there, Fixing Problems. Okay, chapter 1 is talking about dealing with bugs. Chapter 2 is debugging an application. Chapter 3 is stopping and inspecting your code. Very important. Chapter 4 is traveling about the stack. Stack is something they talk about in book 1 somewhere, probably like chapter 1, chapter 2. And then I want to do a final book, but not saying. I don't know. People are gone again, maybe. I don't know. Book, let's see, 4 is advanced programming. And what that covers is working with arrays, pointers, and references. That's chapter 1. And chapter 2 is creating data structures. And chapter 3 is constructors and destructors and exceptions. When you're dealing with Teacher? Yeah, actually, but not for real. I just play teachers. I'm a sub, so that goes good sometimes, and sometimes terrible. So I was hoping to start teaching college. There still might be a option for that. I need to put in some applications. The only thing I the only thing that I managed to apply for in that area was at the school I just graduated from, but I am not what you call a halfer of a PhD, so it's unlikely that they will be interested in hiring me, but maybe community college. Best case, I could figure out how to do teaching or assisting with the little kids, K through 12, in the daytime, and then some nights and or weekends doing the do I dogs or cats? Oh, honestly, I don't have a sort of deal with dogs or cats, but I will say I have more experience with dogs and cats. I think I have an allergy to, and I'm not thrilled with the idea of having up my allergy pills. Oh, yeah, so all the way from little pre-K all the way up to 12th graders, but maybe one day college too. Who knows? I was thinking, I don't know. For some reason, I didn't realize it was going to be that hard or this hard to get into computer science things, because you're always hearing about how it's on demand. But really, this whole AI thing that's been happening, whether it's the actual AI, the actual generative AI, or just them using the generative AI as a cover, is just making it kind of very difficult to find entry level um, computer science related or related IT, whatever you have it, kind of job. Or maybe that was always the case and I just never noticed because I was so busy being such a nerd and trying to get through grad school. I don't know. Okay, all right. Sorry, after a while I kind of lose my memory on stuff, so let's just back up a little bit. So we did get to book 4. So just to recap some of this is new. I don't know. You're probably, hopefully, keeping track better than I am. Chapter 1, working with arrays, pointers and references. Chapter 2, creating data structures. Chapter 3, constructors, structures, and exceptions. Yes, that is familiar. Yes, we were talking about that. And then chapter 4 is advanced class usage. Chapter 5, creating classes with templates. Chapter 6, programming with the standard library. Chapter 7, working with lambda expressions, which are fun. And then it goes into book 5. Do you like, I love animals. If I had to pick my favorite animal, it would be a monkey. No, hold on. First, hummingbird. That's my spirit animal. Second, monkey. No, I don't know. I don't know anything about quantum physics. Oh, that's awesome. About graduating college from computer graphic and web design. That's really cool. I have a great aunt who actually, that's what kind of, she inspired me to this. I also have an aunt who inspired me to this too, like doing the whole computer science thing. But the one who's a great aunt, she also did a lot of learning about web development back when she was taking classes. It was like late 90s, I think. Panda? Oh, pandas are cute. Did you know? Okay. There are a lot of live streams on YouTube. I'm a YouTube nut. Ever since 2014, YouTube nut. That's why most of what I do is not this. Most of what I do is just enjoying YouTube times. But yeah, there's at least one panda live streaming thing that's from China somewhere. And you just go and you can just tune into pandas. And it's a fun thing to try to study too sometimes. Over the years, I've been thinking of really cool and different ways to try to keep myself motivated while studying. That's one of them. Oh, other news. Just recently, the San Diego Zoo just recently got some new pandas from China. Any shows? Not. I fell off a bit of a rock. No, that doesn't make sense. Cliff. kind of went under a rock. The point is, I lost touch with anything that wasn't music because I was very busy being a nerd during grad school. So I don't have any current shows that I keep up with. The last show I was trying to keep up with until I couldn't was Good Doctor on ABC. I'm even behind on Rick and Morty. Like, I haven't seen like a single episode since they had the change. And again, not because of controversy or anything like that, but I just didn't have time. Okay, book 5. It's called Reading and Writing Files. Chapter 1 is Filing Information with the Streams Library. See, I'm kind of interested in learning more about how to make libraries. That'll be good. Because, like, I want to be able to make things that then people can use. But yeah, if it's not music, or if it's not something that was one of my go-to regular things on YouTube, then I'm pretty much not in the loop. Which is why it's a bummer when things that were my go-to things suddenly are not a thing. Or at least it's not the same thing as it was. For instance, this whole MatPat thing, you know, with game theorists and film theorists and food theorists. Like, I was early, since Markiplier, MatPat, that was all around the same time that I started watching their stuff. And Markiplier is still doing his thing because he's figuring out ways to just go off and take breaks and then come back and check in every so often, which is great. But MatPat's like, oh no, I'm gonna just retire. Here's all these random people. And it's like, okay, well, you're just kind of only a wisecrack. And, not wisecrack. Yes, wisecrack. It is wisecrack. That's what happened with Jared Bauer, where he started wisecrack, and it had its thing, and it was total vibe. And then suddenly he's no longer in the picture, and these other people are in the picture. Favorite author and book? Oh, recent? Again, I'm like way out of the loop on that too. In fact, the funniest thing is, part of my problem with this is the same thing I ran into, not just here at grad school level, but I'm going to say community college, but I mean back when I went to my regular college level to get my BA, is books put me to sleep for some reason. That didn't used to be the case. I used to be an avid reader, could just stay, read for hours and hours, finish the book real fast. But as far as these days, favorite book, I was actually enjoying, until I fell off the cliff and ran out of time, I was enjoying the Hello Neighbor book series, oddly enough. That was actually a very interesting read. And then also I enjoyed how they did the Audible. They had a good Audible. That was very entertaining how they put it together. But as far as like, oh, I'll tell you a book that I reread when I was getting ready for my GRE, because it was someone mentioned on some list of books to use when you're studying for a GRE, and it was free, and that was Brave New World. That is a trip book. Kind of very prescient, honestly. There's like a lot of things that are currently happening in the life that we are currently in, the reality we're in, that we're kind of, I don't know, kind of like, sort of, what's the word, predicted, I guess, by Huxley, something like that, the author of that book. Oh yeah, okay. Okay, Daddy, thank you very much for stopping by and for the conversation. I appreciate it. Go ahead and enjoy the rest of your day. And I have no idea when I'll be doing another live, but so far this has been a better response than what I've been trying to do on my TikTok. If you're interested, I have dancing going on with the shorts here on YouTube, but also on TikTok, occasional live streaming there, pretty much weekends. And that's Becky828 also. Okay, thank you. Anyone else hanging around? Okay, so book 5. That's book 5. That's called Reading and Writing Files. And that is chapter 1, Filing Information with the Streams Library. Oh, I mentioned that, sorry. And then chapter 2, writing with output streams. Chapter 3, reading with input streams. Chapter 4, building directories and contents. Chapter 5, streaming your own classes. Ooh. This is the kind of stuff I really need to like, because we didn't like, we learned like in the classes, like, we learn how to make the program, but you only have so much time, so they try to keep it as specific as possible because you only have so much time to make it and they only have so much time to grade it. Chapter 4, building directories and contents. Ooh. I already said that, but now that I think about it, I'm like, okay, that's all the more interesting. What is awesome Black Supreme 10? I'm not sure. Please, if you could clarify. Oh, thank you. I appreciate. You'd be one of the few people. I usually just go prattle on, and oh, including with middle schoolers. Oh, the blank stares I get. It's kind of hilarious if it didn't hurt so much. Okay, so then it's book 4, Advanced C++. Okay. Did I already? I'm feeling deja vu. I probably already read that part. Anyway, chapter 1, explain the standard library further. Oh, I should specify, this book was written in the year of 2014. So it's one of those things where you use this as like a base, especially if you don't know anything about C++. Go ahead and do the things, but then bear in mind, oh, you might have to Google a few more things to see if anything got updated. So what they're talking about in the standard library may not still be relevant. It's hard to say. But, you know, it's kind of like everything. It's not just computer science books. Oh boy. Like, if you ever are in a, well, I spend a lot of time in high schools, or that's kind of part of my job, to spend time in schools. So most people don't have this experience, but if you ever end up like at an open house or something, and you look at some of the dates on those books, it's like, wow, like, how is this that we're still giving this to our kids to help their learning? Like, I wish there was a way to like for instance, AI. They're just so busy trying to make that into, oh, thank you for saying that, Black Springton. You're very kind. But yeah, they just keep trying to use AI to make money, make money, make money. It's like, we could be using this to try to help personalize education better. Like, there's no reason, what today, except for the fact that people are trying to figure out how to make the dollars and the cents, that we can't use this technology to help it so that we can actually have specialized per individual learning happening. But, you know, that is probably happening, but I don't think it's public school. I think that's the problem. They rather keep that as a, you know, as a special little thing for just a select group of people. And that's a bummer. So, all right. Granted, I don't know. All right, so chapter 1, exploring the standard library further. Chapter 2, working with user-defined literals, UDLs. Let's see. And then chapter 3 is building original templates. Chapter 4 is investigating Boost. Oh, that sounds fun. Oh yeah, I remember that from when I first checked this out at the library. And then chapter 5 is boosting up with stuff. Because the idea of Boost is it's supposed to be able to like save, like provide a few shortcuts. Oh, and that's it. That's what this is all in this book. Again, it's just 6 little books stuck together. All right, so that's pretty much the breakdown of that. I guess I could try to get some reading in from 288. That's where I left off. Oh yeah, so I've been experimenting with the TikTok and YouTube, and I was doing some Twitch, but I've been taking a break again. I'll probably get back to that soon. Just life was going haywire, so you only have so much time. Um, I swear I don't. Some people, they're able to go ahead and they make YouTubing work, and they make Twitch streaming work, and they make TikToking work. Like, I don't. I don't have it. It's like, nah, not for me. I'm just too much of a not trying to bother people kind of person, I guess. Okay, nothing new in the chat I see, so I guess I'll just do some reading time. Okay. We'll just do what I gotta do with the kids. I'm just gonna start at the bottom because I usually like leave. If I stop reading, I usually try to finish the section. So this is where we're starting with the headline, title. It's not headline, it's a title. That one, the one that's a fancy. Building with UML and the rational unified process. UML is not. I feel like I already read this part. Hold on. I guess not. UML is not a methodology. That means that UML by itself is a step-by-step process for building software. Oh, I should mention this right. I did not make this. Likes and dislikes about AI. Okay, perfect. Okay, likes about AI. Me, as someone who loves to create, effectively, I'm all about the STEAM education, the science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. A lot of people are STEM people. They kind of leave the arts out. I'm all about the arts. Ever since I was little, it's like, oh, I like to write scripts, and oh, I like to write poems, and oh, I like to da-da-da, and oh, I like to make pictures. Maybe I'll be doing some of that. That's why YouTube's kind of crap for me, because they like one person doing one thing with one channel, 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 one thing. All of my life, I've been the kind of person who just likes to do everything as I fail to do it. So it's like, that's kind of doesn't work for me. But the point is, what I'm trying to say is, AI is awesome where it helps you as a creator if you are trying to make a movie and you don't necessarily have the money to be able to go and find other people to help you with the work. That can help with a lot of that. But that is a double-edged sword, because what's happening is a lot of people. Hi, Black Supreme 10, thank you. Can you hear me? I'm trying to answer the question that you have posted about the likes and dislikes AI. Is my audio working? Oh, okay. We'll continue with the AI, assuming you can still hear me. Let me know if you can't hear me. Right. It's good for learning. It's good for making things more individualized. And then from a creating standpoint, it helps the process. Like when you're just one person and you want to try to be able to get multiple jobs done, if it's something that you can do on the cheap end, great. But when you're big, and then this goes into the cons, if you're a big company and you're like, oh, well, I'm just going to use this as an opportunity to just say goodbye, workers, kiss her off, figure it out. That's a con. I feel like it's like, okay, that makes sense for like little people who are 1 to 5 people who are kind of starting out and they just can't do better. But when a multi-billion-dollar, if not trillion-dollar company is doing that mess, it's like, could you not? Like, really? Why? Like, if anything, you're just making it harder, kind of deal. So that's kind of the main thing. It's like, when it's a small scale thing, it's like, okay, this thing is wonderful. When you use it correctly and you're not just thinking about how can I use this as a money making thing or a money saving thing, then it's like, great, this stuff is wonderful. I'm still on the fence about using AI to help with climate. Like, it makes sense from the standpoint that AI can run algorithms way quicker and be a lot more in scope with details. That would take a lot more time for people to be able to do. But then it takes a whole lot of resources to be able to run the machines that do the AI to do those things. So it's like at the very best case, it seems like it's balancing out. But at the worst case, it's just another situation like what's going on with the thing that happened before, the NFTs and stuff, all of the blockchain stuff, where it's like, okay, in theory, this is great, but really, though, it's way too much power, it's way too much water. We don't have a lot of either. We really, especially considering things that have been happening with the hurricanes, we do really, really, truly, 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 truly. I know a lot of people say, no, 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 it's not really a thing. But seriously, when I was a little girl living in Ohio for a period of time, and we used to have those tornado drills, not one tornado did I have to worry about. We just had the drills on the reg. I never was actually in a tornado, and that was like 7 years I was living in Ohio. Here we are, it's Florida. Just have had a series of tornadoes happen because of a second hurricane that happened 2 weeks apart from another hurricane. It's like, oh, sorry, but it's beyond crazy how, I don't know. But yeah, VAP, is that a 0 or oh, vapor. I'll just say vapor. Yeah, you were right about it's good for learning. I don't know if you're still here. I don't know if I'm there. It's a 0 people, so who knows. Okay, back to C++. I'm actually technically speaking, trying, since I don't expect to be working at least in a full-time capacity, at least anytime soon. Well, here's the thing, Vapor. I got to use some Git, I believe it's GitHub Copilot, when doing, okay, let me say this. I've been doing this computer science thing for about a decade. So when earlier classes that I took at community college level, so after I got my BA, I didn't know what the heck to do because I was in a place where I got my BA in writing, okay? Writing all my life, love it very much. Got my BA in writing. The internet wasn't where it was. It was back in 2011. The internet wasn't where it was. And it was like, okay, so how do I stay here where I'm living and not have to go anywhere else? New York, LA, whatever. How do I stay just where I'm living? Because I love where I'm living, and be able to utilize my major, this degree I just spent, at the time, it took me 7 years. I'm slow. Let's put it that way. So how do I do this? And I couldn't quite figure out how to make it work, like, directly. So that's why I ended up just getting to be a substitute teacher, because it's like, okay, so one thing that you need in the state of California to be a substitute teacher is to have a BA. Got it, check. Okay, you have to be able to pass this thing called a CBEST, California Basic Education Skills Test. Okay, I was able to pass 2 out of 3 parts. Oddly enough, the one that I wasn't able to pass is the one I ran out of time on, was with the writing. So I kind of like had hurt feelings about that one. And it took me years to finally work up the nerve to go back and be like, okay, I'll take it again. I took it, I passed. I was able to start doing substitute teaching back in 2015. So it's like, okay, great. So at least I feel like I didn't totally not use my degree. But it's just kind of funny that I 10 years later just about came back to about the same position, but with a different major that I thought, because everything I was seeing was so high demand. But AI is here, and now it's like, and yes, that's the problem. I am definitely going, sorry, ramble me, yes. Okay, the point is, the reasoning behind why I am currently not able to find very many opportunities that say entry level that isn't for someone that has 3 or more years, which is funny. You would think that someone, a job being entry level would mean that you shouldn't have to have years of experience. Well, unfortunately, I think AI not necessarily is already doing the job of a programmer, but at least one video that I saw on YouTube brought up a very interesting point, which was that what's really going on is they're saying it's AI, but really they're sending those jobs across the oceans to other places. Hi, doggy. Hello again. Nice. Okay, I'm still rambling. That was a win for Doggy being back. Yay. But yeah, so it's like whether it's really the AI doing it or the international doing it, something is definitely, granted, it could be the state of politics, etc. Just for the okay. Well, thank you. Um, I don't imagine anyone is trying to subscribe for my rambling self, but if you are, please do. That's kind of the best way to know when I'm going to stream again, because who knows? I have no set anything, especially with this year's been going. It's just been, oh, let's see what's going on. Let's see what happens. Roll the punches kind of deal. So, right. So I don't know. It's annoying. AI does seem like it is a thing. Hopefully it's a bubble that will burst soon. Hopefully things will go back to normal soon. Hopefully once we get done with the politics that's currently going on, hopefully that will help things go back. And I can get a job part-time would be the goal, doing computer sciencey things. If not, I don't know. I'm interested in doing tutoring. I don't know how to do tutoring. I would love to do tutoring. It's online tutoring would be awesome. How to do it? Who knows? So at this rate, I'll just probably be just making YouTube videos and stuff. Oh, and continue to do the dancing because I'm actually trying to make a project myself where I do computer vision on some of the videos I've been making with the shorts, with the TikTok, with the YouTube, where I can go and get information into some things. I mean, yes, Becky is Rebecca is Becky. Yeah, I go by that. Mostly Rebecca, but Becky by some people. Okay, so we're back for a little. Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, so that was kind of the fun about. So I was born here in California, but life's shitty for me. So it ended up in a situation where my mom died when I was 5 months old. I could think I was 8, but it's 5. I didn't do the math. And my dad kind of lost his parental rights, and he decided that would be a great idea to take my brother on West Coast all the way across the country to Cleveland. Suffice to say, that wasn't a good idea. He got arrested for kidnapping. We ended up in Cincinnati for about 6 years. So after our time in Ohio, we ended up in Illinois, and by the end of 1995, we ended up back in California. Oh, yeah, thank you. There's been a lot of that. I have been dealing with that my entire life. Mom died when I was 5 months old. She was just about to hit 30, just about. Then her sister, her older sister, she died at 40. Then we moved and everything was fine again. But then when I believe my youngest sister, again, by a different mother, of course, her grandma died. So it was like, okay. And then for a while there was no more deaths and everything was roses. But then 2023 happened, and oh, sorry, before that, so many have happened. I lost track. Okay. So she died somewhere in the mix. No, shortly after that is when my grandpa, by way of marriage, died. Then everything is fine. But then that grandma died, the one who was my mom's mom. We didn't know about it. My brother pretty much Googled it, and he called and let me know. So that was a bummer. So then that's when it's like everything was fine until 2023. Then the granddad died, the one who was my sister's actual granddad, biological granddad. He died. Then shortly after that, months after that, a very dear close friend of my stepmom, she died, and she was very young. And it's like, then, not even joking, August happens, someone who's even younger than that, who's my boyfriend's grandson's, like, basically father figure, he died. Then my boyfriend was in the hospital, so I was freaking out about that. Then James Earl Jones died, and I was like, oh, every time I think about James Earl Earl Jones, it makes me think of my grandma, and he died. And oh my god, I'm bummed. Sure enough, I get a call at 9:10 from my aunt who says, "Oh, guess what? Your grandma died." And it's like, oh, okay, like this year. Then the latest is last week. I was at work. One of my grands, again my mom's side, just one day of these days I might write this all down. Maybe AI will help with that. I don't know. But it's like, then, so my great aunt, she calls up, she's saying, oh, her sister died. So it's like, oh, yeah. Woo. It's like, this is why I can completely relate with some Adam's family. Like, I have the golf streak down. I don't know if I've done any Evanescence. I cannot remember if I've done any Evanescence dances here on YouTube yet. But maybe. And if it's not here, I've definitely done at least 2. I think I saw 3 when I was scrolling through real quick over on TikTok, Becky828. I know, that could be cool. I don't know. It's just, my main thing is, I really like Black Supreme 10 based on your comment there. Honestly, I really love what Khan Academy has been doing. Because, the simple thing is, school districts, at least in public schools, they run out of money and suddenly all the nice things go away. That's been my experience with the school district I've been working for. I've been working with the district that I've been working for since 2009. And many a time they run out of money and the nice things go away. And so most recently, they just ran out of the COVID money officially. And nice things are going away. So it's like when it's something that's free, like a Khan Academy, they're able to keep it. And I think that's great. Because the best case is a student has something that they can literally use, like a Khan Academy, from pre-K all the way through college. That's the best. Do I play any sports? No. Like, we did, like, for PE, but as far as, like, being the kind of person who is, like, into sports, dancing is my only passion. As far as physical, a good walk. I love a good walk. You don't do sports and walking, to my understanding. And then the other thing is step aerobics. I remember back when I was in Cincinnati, one of the things that we did for PE section was some step aerobics. Wow, that's a fun time. But no sports. Kickball. Loved me some kickball back in the day. Sad I don't really see that being done many schools. I understand why dodgeball. We used to do dodgeball. I understand why dodgeball is also. I understand that one. Okay, I might actually get some reading done. That was kind of the goal I had. I've been like super slow. Like, this is how much I still have. Oh, okay, doggy. Thanks for coming back and for checking things out a little bit more. And see you later. Not necessarily tonight, but in the future, especially if you subscribed. Again, that's the best way to know what I'm doing. But if you're not into the dancing, I do apologize if you get, and I understand if you're like, screw this, she's not doing enough live streaming, too much dancing in my life. Unsubscribe, I get it. And I'm glad we're having some fun. That's great. I'm not known to be fun, but hey, if you're finding fun, yay. All right, more reading time. I'm just distracted. All right, building with UML and the rational unified process. UML is not a methodology. That means that UML by itself is not a step-by-step process for building software. Rather, you can think of UML as a language you use for describing your software as you are building it. The language, however, is not a verbal talking language with a bunch of engineers in a room yelling and arguing. Yes, that sometimes happens. But fortunately, it's neither a part of UML nor required. UML is a visual language. There's that adage about a picture being worth a whole bunch of words, or something like that. And it holds up here too. You describe your software with the diagrams. These diagrams provide a full description of your software. Oh, hold on. I'm thinking I already read all of this. Yeah, like a nonprofit. I'd much more be more interested in trying to do a nonprofit. I'm just not really into retail and money and all that. It's like, I don't know. I just want to be in a position to be able to help the most people possible, and it's like hard to do that when you're chasing dollars. Hence the reason I'm probably never going to get big on YouTube or TikTok. I mean, granted, I don't think Markiplier was chasing the dollars when he started, but he's got a lot more charisma and talent and that very deep Markiplier voice that he does, and just some random chick here who loves some dancing and just spent like 10 years figuring out computer science stuff and trying to figure out what to do with it. Because I don't want to have gone through all of that time. Bye, doggy. I might be late on that one. I'm sorry. I just noticed. Oh, you did? Sweet. All right. Oh, check out the dance scene then. Oh, nice. Cleveland Heights. See, that's the thing. I was like, okay, when I lived in Cleveland, I was like younger than 5 years old. That part, you know. So like, and then we went to visit like once. Back we were living that year, we were living in Illinois. We drove over to visit family in Cleveland for Thanksgiving, but I haven't been back since then. So I was like 94. So I haven't been back to Cleveland since 94. So I don't really know much about it. I do know at the time, the movie that was, see, that's what my brain is messed it. It's like now it's computer science stuff. That's pretty much, it messed me up. But previous, it's like what messed up was, okay, I remember a song. I'll remember a movie. If it's not one of those things, I don't know. But it was Boys in the Hood, I think it was on. They were watching on, I believe it was a tape, but it could have been a tape. I don't know, but that's what it was on. Boys in the Hood or something like that. One of those movies that was about the, you know, life of the typical black community in California type movies. I swear, it's funny because when Biggie and Tupac were doing their thing, I'm so dating myself, but I actually was going back to Cali when that song was big. Like that, going back to Cali. But not the original version, but you know, the big one. So that kind of like stuck in my head a lot. Okay, back to reading. All right. Oh yeah, I was trying to see if I actually read this already because it's looking familiar. No, that's me. All right, hold on. Oh, okay, yeah. UML is a visual language. Oh, sorry. My apologies. So I moved on pages. This is 289. Birthday? It's a tweet. That's easy. That's right in my name. For this, there you go. That's the page. So yeah, for this year, if you're interested at all, please check it out. I did do a birthday week for the entire week of that included my birthday, but it was mainly also like a double celebration because I am a very big Michael Jackson fan, and his birthday, of course, is on the 29th. So much so that I used to think that I had his birthday, and I was just on top of the world about that. And then one day, my grandma, my mom's mom, she's like, "Oh, actually, I looked at your birth certificate, and it's the 20th," and I was bummed. Okay. Okay, there's that adage about a picture being worth a whole bunch of words or something like that. And it holds up here too. You describe your software with the diagrams. These diagrams provide a full description of your software, but you create the diagrams as you move through a process. The process is a I had it perfectly fine earlier, and then I'm like, what? How do you see that? Methodology that you use. The one that we use and described in this book is known as the Rational Unified Process, or RUP, or I'm going to say RUP. There are 5 main steps, which tend to be the same for most methodologies. The main steps, which are called workflows, are as follows. 1, requirements. 2, analysis. 3, design. 4, implementation. 5, testing. Like I said, it might have been Boys in the Hood. When you think of, or again, we're talking about 1994. So it was some movie that was based around a Black community, very likely in California, that was either released in 1993 or 1994, probably 1993, because I don't know how old you guys are, but I remember, my old self remembers how things used to be with movie releases, because I didn't mention, so when I was doing community college the first time, I was super interested in trying to get into film. That was the whole point. I went to a community college that family of mine went to, and they ended up going into film, and I was kind of trying to follow their, I'm a follower in some things, what can I say? So I was trying to follow their footsteps, and I was also trying to go the film route by at least starting off with the same school that they had started off with. And technically speaking, I think why that's bopping in my head, Boys in the Hood, is because if you look at it, those who are interested in Googling it, the guy who is the director of Boys in the Hood went to the same school that I ended up going to for community college. And also the relative that I had, who I was kind of following the footsteps of. So that's the story I can say about Boys in the Hood. So in my head, that's the movie. Either way, it was either released in 93 or 94, because I saw it in 94 or 95. It depends. I know, no, it's probably 94. The point is, it used to be a movie would come out, it would stay in theaters forever. Then the next thing that would happen was the pay-per-views. And it would have a little time in the pay-per-views. And then the next thing in line was the blockbusters and the home releases of the VHS tapes. And basically we were looking at a timeline that took like a year. Now it's like a 3-month thing. It's like, whoa, crazy. What do you think of the steps you would do to accomplish pretty much anything that's not computer? Back up. When you think of the steps you would do to accomplish pretty much anything that's not computer related, you can probably see that you often use these steps. For example, suppose that you're going to build a time warp device. So that, especially methodology? What about mythology? I don't know. Oh, you? Oh, the 20th. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, hold on. Michael Jackson fan as well. Birthday is in August. Awesome. Okay, 20th. Oh, that's cool. I don't know if that's mythology or if that's lore, as Matt Patton or other theorist people. Granted, I know he's retired, but he still pops in, maybe. I don't know. He's bumming me out. It's like bad enough that I got my heart broken when GT Live stopped being live. Like, basically they moved from LA to North Carolina, and then live stopped being live. And I was like, well, okay, at least they're still doing their thing. Then a little later, you get the announcement, oh, hey, we sold the companies. It's like, oh, great. Uh, and that was a crap year. If I remember correctly, that's when the people were dying. So it's like, okay, then no, thank you. Then the next announcement is, oh, I'm retiring. Then now this is the last freaking month. Oh crap, I forgot about that. This is the last month they're going to be doing the GT Lives. And on Fridays they start doing live streams. But that was a week ago. And so they did one yesterday, but I completely freaking blanked. Really? Ice Cube and Voice in the Hood? Maybe. Like, I don't remember actually like sitting down and watching the movie at the time. It was because it was the family. So I don't understand that. I have other family members. Again, the one who now he works doing movies, so it's his whole deal. But it's like, hi there. We're doing family time. How do you have the movie on? And it's supposed to be talk and like socialize and catch up with family time. Like, what? How is this? No compute. This does not function. Like, I know I have a lack of social skills, but what? Huh? So that doesn't make sense to me. But maybe, like, I can see if it's like football game day, or like, you know, Super Bowl. I can see if it's like the Thanksgiving let's watch the football, or oh, let's have the parade on, or something like that. But just random movie. Just here's the thing that we're doing. This is just a party that doesn't really need to have a movie on, but let's have it anyway. It's like, sounds like we should, Compton and Crenshaw. Yeah, these have improved. I have to say, I was, years ago, for Father's Day, I stopped by, I was going to go visit my family, and I stopped by a Walmart that was in one of those areas, and I looked around and I was like, oh, this is very nice. It's very nice. I love it. Nothing like you would have seen depicted in movies of that time. So yeah, they've been going through a lot of positive growth, and I hope it's not all gentrification. Okay, back to reading. For example, suppose that you're going to build a timer device so you can skip that dentist appointment. Oh, I was going to say, I love this because myself falls asleep reading pretty often, but also I'm just not interested in people who make their books sound smart just so they can go around sounding smart. It's like, how is this helping your reader? Like, you have to make things clear and concise. You have to make things as easy to read as possible, especially when you're dealing with a hard topic such as C++. It's like, come on. It does not help for someone to just have to go and transcribe and translate what you said to try to get to what you mean. Anyway, so that's cool how they come up with the easy language, and also they try to think of engaging visual elements. They're really good at using figurative language. It's great. Hence the steam in me who's like, oh yeah, I could appreciate how this is used, and it's presenting that knowledge. It's got that technical writing, but it's doing it with the figurative language. And the fact that I know all of those things and can totally use all of the things is kind of weird. Most people, they pick a side. It's either English or math, but my brain is just messed up. All right. It's like right or left, right or left brain. I don't know, all of it, I guess. For example, suppose that you're going to build a timer device so you could skip that dentist appointment next week. First, you decide what you need to build. This is called a requirement collection. In this case, you need a device that takes you forward into time, probably a specified amount of time. So you'll want a display on the device and a keypad. You'll want a display on the device and a keypad so you can enter the amount of time to move forward. And you'll probably need a button to start the time work. Those are the requirements for the project. Then you think about how you're going to do the time warp and what you'll need, and you analyze the project. In this case, you'll need the actual time warping portion consisting of the relativistic universe bender, as well as the main interface portion, where you get to control the thing. This step is called the analysis. Next, you begin carefully designing the invention, but not actually building it. This is the meat of your work, where you draw diagrams of what you'll be building and how the different parts work out. You draw how your particular version of the relativistic universe bender works.
Dr. Whitney, raw follow-up starts in 10 minutes.
And the parts involved in it, as well as all...
From your calendar, Dr. Whitney, raw follow-up starts in 10 minutes.
All the other major components of the system. This is the design step. I feel like it's seeing 0 people. I don't know. Then you build or implement the thing. This is the fun part, where you go into the shop and start hammering and pounding and defying gravity to build the device. And of course, this step is called the implementation. But you're not finished yet. Finally, you have to test it. For this, you pay off the guy next door to take a ride in your time machine to see whether it works or not. Works. If not, he can report back to you and let you know what went wrong, assuming that he makes it back. Now, this is all good, but some issues can come up that these basic 5 steps don't handle. For example, many people who try building a large software system quickly discover the chicken and egg syndrome. The problem is this: if we're in the middle of the analysis workflow and we're supposed to be getting our rough classes down, how can we possibly know all the classes we're going to need until we get down into the code and start writing the thing? For this reason, many people have the attitude to skip engineering and just code the stupid thing. Sounds like me when I'm typically doing computer projects for when I was in school, but also the writing. Like, I love the whole editing stage, and I know it. I learned it like crazy in Cincinnati. But boy, I'm just like, let's just write the thing now. All right. Okay. But just imagine what your timer device would be like if you tried to build it without planning. After you get the thing completely built, more or less, do you really trust it? Or do you really trust it? Would you take a ride in it rather than just pay the unsuspecting neighbor? Well, the same is true for software. If you just dive in and start grinding out code, racing for the finish line, how can you be sure that you covered everything? Did you miss anything? Most likely. And does what you wrote run perfectly? Doubtful. Fortunately, there is a way to fit everything together. It uses steps called iterations. Okay, speaking iteratively. Suppose we want to build a new kind of web browser. The web browser will be super smart and will just automatically know what website you want to go to by tapping into your brainwaves. When you wake up in the morning, you will hear your ears ringing with the message of a faint, distant phrase, "Where do you want to go?" You think, wouldn't it be fun to see the Smithsonian? Then you walk to your computer, sit down, and first, the browser brings up the site for the Smithsonian. Then it brings up a site that shows flights, hotels, rental car information, and maps to get there. Now, wouldn't that be a seriously cool web browser? I will note. Cornelius, nice to meet you. Oh, most English. I know some Spanish. Again, it kind of just ends up Spanish for me. I know Latin. I don't speak Latin. It's been a while since I learned Latin. But the reason why I took Latin was so I didn't have to take Spanish, because I didn't want to have to worry about speaking. I get very shy speaking Spanish. So I'll note that this book was written in 2014. But here we are. They were kind of like talking about is one of those things that Elon Musk is trying to go and do. And at least one other person, and they're trying to figure out that way to connect chip and brain stuff where effectively you could, well, if you had that thing, probably be able to do at least that, where you think your query and you go to your computer and there it is for you. But I gotta say, I'm not even a fan of the phones, how spyy they are. I don't know if I'd want a chip in my head. I mean, granted, this is like a Futurama thing, but still, no, I don't know. Especially hackers. That's the thing. Number one thing I learned in computer science is, wow, a lot of things are very hackable, and some things you just don't want to risk a hacker being able to mess up. So, being a good engineer, you follow the formal steps of building it. You draw your requirements, and you even interview your friends to see what ideas they have about such an amazing work of software. Then you analyze the different parts and come up with the functionality of software. And you even draw some sample screens. Next, you move into the design workflow, fleshing out the basic processes you built in the analysis workflow. And finally, you begin coding. You code for weeks, when suddenly, wham, you discover that something is seriously wrong. You completely forgot that you need to write a portion of the software that does the grunt work of connecting to the internet, then to a specific site, and downloading the appropriate webpage. In effect, you failed to consider the low-level communications portion of your super cool application. And while ruminating over this problem, you also start to think of some other things you failed to consider earlier. After you receive the webpage, are you going to draw it on the screen? Or are you going to write some C++ library that will display it in a window for you? The latter would make your life easier, but regardless, you have not considered this. That's when you get frustrated and start considering that position your cousin offered you. Oh, okay. That's when you get frustrated and start considering that position your cousin offered you to be a mime out in front of City Hall downtown, drawing customers in to buy hot dogs from your cousin's hot dog stand in front of the Hall of Justice. Like, frankly, that's a really funny visual. I'm glad they included that in the book. But on top of that, it's like I have a mind to try to go to Santa Monica and do some I forget what they call it. There's a term for it, but when you go dancing or playing an instrument or something there on the pier, I'm like, I really need to go and get a license and then just do some dancing and then see what happens. Maybe something would happen. I don't know. All right, let's see. I see a little bit. I see your picture, but it's very, very tiny. And if I leave the screen, it's probably going to disrupt the live stream. And please remind me what you love and that it's beautiful that I love, because again, my memory needs work. What exactly happened? Here's what happened. You didn't realize until coding time that the display part of the browser, the part that shows the web page on the screen, would be extremely complicated and might require the purchase of a library that displays the browser pages for you. 2, you didn't even consider that you would need a low-level communication system, or did you? Maybe your operating system already provides it, but either way, you hadn't thought of that during the analysis or design workflow. Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's really cool. Which 7 languages? As you do on these problems, you notice more bad things. For starters, if you decide to do the low-level communication system, do you make it its own library that you could potentially use in other applications? Or do you buy a library? Or is one already available on the computer? You've heard that that your operating system has such things built in, but you're not sure. So you know what happened, but why did it happen? Finally, you put your finger on it. It's another chicken and egg syndrome. And it goes like this. How could you have known you needed a low-level communication system until you finally start coding the thing? Yeah, you needed that information while you were in the analysis and design workflows before you start coding it. In effect, which comes first, the chicken, the analysis and design, or the egg, the realization that you need a low-level communication system? Although this might sound horribly apocryphal, it happens all the time in this software world. If you want to see tempers flare, visit some software engineers when such an abysmal situation arises. Well, we think we've made our point, but before you rush off to the psychiatrist for a nice big supply of antidepressants, fear not. RUP is here to save the day. The designers of RUP knew well that these problems occur, and thus they made a set of higher level processes called phases, and put the 5 workflows inside these higher levels. During each phase, you cycle through several of the 5 workflows. Then, when you're finished, you can cycle through them again, or you can move on to the next phase, and you once again cycle through several of the 5 workflows. The idea is that each time you cycle through several of the workflows, you'll finish an iteration, phasing in and out. RUP consists of 4 main phases. In each phase, you focus on various workflows, such as analysis or design, but you are free to move forward to later workflows. The only catch is that, although you can start and stop at any workflow, you must complete all the workflows in between for a single iteration. For example, you can't jump from analysis to test. You must first do analysis, then design, then implementation, and finally test. Here are the phases of RUP. Inception. During this phase, you determine the objectives of your software. Elaboration. In this phase, you analyze and design your software. Construction. This is when you focus primarily on coding the software. Transition. The final phase is when you deliver the software. For retail software, this means sending it to the not anymore, duplicators and packagers for in-house software. It means shipping it to the groups who will be using it. Of course, that is not how that works anymore. Okay, so English, French, Spanish, Chinese, Arabic, Russian, and more. Awesome. That's really cool. Oh, that's another thing AI is very helpful for. Translation and transcription. Here's the really great part. Pretty much anything that could help with communication, like actually help with communication, that AI can do as a pro. But again, I can also see the other side, which is how can AI help with miscommunication? And that includes misinformation or disinformation. It's like, oh, that's problematic. And here's the really great part. Each of these, and that's definitely con. Each of these 4 phases can be a whole set of workflows: requirements, analysis, design, implementation, testing. But how can that be, my dear friend, you ask? It goes like this. In the inception phase, you gather requirements and go through the process of getting some basic analysis and design down. And if need be, you can do some rough prototypes of the software, where you basically play around and try out some things. In effect, you do a basic coding, implementation, and yes, you might even spend a little time testing it. But you're not building a full-scale software system by any means. You're just doing pieces and parts and pieces. But more so, you're doing a proof of concept. Okay, so that's when the unit testing. Yeah, this is pretty much what I was doing for advanced object-oriented programming, which was also C++. See, that's the thing. Like, I got to use C++ to make code, but I never, like, it's so busy trying to just make deadlines. I never really got a chance to, like, properly try to, like, make sure I understood what was going on with C++. So that's why I got this book back in May. So I'm like, hey, now I have time. I can just, but no, actually, I haven't really had time. So I'm trying to make some time with you tonight. Because the other thing is I've been taking a super long break from coding, and I'm going to get back to doing some coding. Hopefully before the end of the year. That'd be awesome. All right, hobbies you're talking about. That's awesome. Classical music, write poetry, and some jazz dancing. That's really cool. So I'm just pretty much currently I like to go to school as my hobby for some reason. One of these days I would love to go for a PhD, but I have to figure out how to make financially sense to do so. But yeah, dancing, music. I'm very much into music appreciation. That's why I just keep doing random dancing. I love dancing, love music. There's a lot of interesting songs. And then maybe I'll get back to doing some music making. I haven't done any like okay. So I did one for a video game um, development class I took. I did end up making a song that we used for a project. So that was really nice. I actually was surprised with all the things I remembered from back in community college the first time when I was actually taking a few some electronic music courses, and even before that, I was taking music theory and piano. I did piano for a few times. Oh, I'm so behind. I gotta get back to practicing piano. Okay, I'll just continue again. In effect, it might be repeat. In effect, you do a basic coding implementation, and yes, you might even spend a little time testing, but you're not building a full-scale software system by any means. You're just doing pieces and parts and pieces, but more so, you're doing a proof of concept just to see if you think, as a professional engineer, this idea is going to fly. And undoubtedly, you will run into some issues that the original requirements failed to take into account. Oh, thank you. For example, suppose that you're going to build a word processor application that beats Microsoft Word hands down. Now, if you had used Microsoft Word and opened up a really big document, like several hundred pages, you may have noticed something happens on occasion. Sometimes when you make a substantial change that will drastically affect the page count, such as changing the margins, Microsoft Word repaginates. And as it repaginates, you might find that some vital paragraphs get split, when maybe one line of text at the end of one page and the rest of the paragraph on the next page. That can create an ugly document, and thus Microsoft Word includes a feature called Keep Paragraphs Together as an option in a dialog box. Now, if you're building a word processor, it's possible that you won't think of this hair splitting, paragraph splitting issue until well into the coding. So what do? Most likely, during one of the first two phases, after you have a basic prototype, you might notice that sometimes paragraphs are getting broken up at inconvenient places. The solution? Include an option to keep paragraphs together. And so you go back to the requirements and add a piece to the required functionality. An option for keeping paragraphs together. Now, if you're building a super cool web browser that specializes in mind reading, during the inception phase, you might need to do a basic prototype that has all the major features, even if they don't work well. But during that time, you spot something you left out, the communication system. But now you know that you need it. So you return to the analysis phase where you can actually add it, perhaps as a component. Cool, no? Now, each time you backtrack through your workflow and change something, you begin a new iteration. Therefore, you can see that the phases are broken up into iterations, each of several of the 5 workflows, and you may go through several iterations within a single phase. Remember, you don't have to get all the way to the end, to the testing workflow, before you back up. Thus, each iteration might consist of only 1 or 2 workflows. If all of this sounds a little strange, look at it this way. If you discover that you don't have something quite right, what do? You go back and fix it. But software engineers like to sound a bit more technical than that. So instead, they say that they begin a new iteration. Oh, well, that's very sweet of you to offer. I don't imagine being able to go. I have to figure out just very baseline adulting. I know some people say don't use that, but it's true though. Like, for instance, just how do I handle my living expenses? As a student for so long, that is a question I still am working on figuring the answer to. Like, that was the whole master plan of getting into grad school and getting um, a master's of science in computer science, because I thought that that was going to be the answer. And it might just be just going to take longer than I thought. And during the inception phase, you try to do the following: determine whether the project is feasible. The term feasibility is a word that comes up again and again, and it's primarily the result of people having great ideas, but later determining that, well, frankly, those ideas are not practical or reasonable. But instead, businesses prefer the kinder, gentler term feasible. Determine the primary requirements. Requirements gathering is a particularly touchy issue because during that time, people are going to want to include everything. Not only will they want the software to browse the web, but they will also want it to inject the web page back into your brain and also give you the ability to download it straight from your brain to your friends' brains and print a copy by just laying your finger on the printer. They want the software to do everything. But thankfully, during this time, you start to map out the project, probably build some prototypes, determine what it really should do. Is it feasible to transfer the pages back into the brain? Or is that technology not going to come for another year or two? If not, it probably isn't feasible. Someone started cooking something that is, ooh, yummy, got my mouth watering. Okay, what happened? Oh no, I'm still here in California. I'm staying in California. But thank you. During the elaboration phase, elaboration phase, during the elaboration phase, you solidify the functionality of your software. Use tools called use cases, descriptions of individual pieces of the software functionality. I skipped some things. Hold on a second. Okay. The goal in this phase is to solidify. Okay, I remember that part. The requirements and to do some basic analysis. During this time, you will get people to agree to what it is you're going to build. These people are called stakeholders because they hold a big stake, like their jobs, in the success of the software. And when you finish writing it for them and they become millionaires, they will treat themselves to a nice big steak. That's a funny joke. You will also, because they're, STAKE for stakeholders, but STEAK is, that's hilarious. Okay, sorry, puns. You will also get them to agree on things such as what computers the software will run on and the software's limits. For example, can the browser read multiple people's brains or just one person's brain at a time? That's a limit. And will it run on Windows? Or will it also run on Macintosh, Unix, and Linux? And of course, the business folks will want a bit of say in all this too. So the goals of this phase will also include things such as the schedule and costs for the project, how soon you have it completed, and how much will it cost the business. will you need to hire more engineers to work on the project? And will you need to buy more computers and tools, such as compilers? And finally, at the end of this phase, you will want to have a basic architecture of the system, consisting of UML diagrams. Now, these diagrams may be rough and basic, but they will provide an overall outline of the system. Okay. The elaboration phase. During the elaboration phase, you solidify the functionality of your software. You use tools called use cases, descriptions of individual pieces of the software functionality. For example, a word processor would have use cases such as set italic on, set italic off, print, set left align, and delete a page. The use cases are all the things you can do with the software. Also, during the elaboration phase, you develop a plan for when you build this thing. This means elaborating on the basic designs you created in the inception phase by going through more analysis and design. Oh, I'll add that I wanted, one of the reasons I checked this book out back in May is because it's talking about emails. And that's something that I should have been doing back when I was taking advanced object-oriented programming, but I just couldn't figure out like how to do it with the code. So I would just write down my own like diagrams on paper kind of thing, and effectively we had to write them in the way that the professor had set for them to like work, or like what was like already modeled potentially like in the book that we were using for the class. So this is more into getting into like the reasoning about why you do the certain things. So that's great. I'm like really interested in playing around with some UML diagrams. Let's see. Oh, Black Supreme, you're very kind. I will mention I am not available to meet up and hang out other than live streams. And majorly because I have a boyfriend and he'd not be interested in all of that. Also, during the elaboration phase, you develop a plan for when you build a thing. This means elaborating on the basic designs you create in the inception phase by going through more analysis and design. Some of the major goals of the elaboration phase are to finalize the scope of the software and incorporate any changes to the software. For example, after further inspection, you may have determined that more things were not feasible and that other parts were. To finalize the project plan, including the number of people you need and how long it will take, and to make sure the stakeholders are all happy and hunky-dory with the project. Oh, okay, that's cool. Going into that. And during the elaboration phase, you also create a first rough draft version of the software. Yes, you may have built some code in the conception phase, but that was just prototyping for determining feasibility. You don't use that rough code from the inception phase in the real coding. Here, however, you make a first run of coding the real application. To get there, you continue with your analysis and design and get into coding implementation. Of course, the software is just a rough draft, but it is more than a prototype. Unlike the preceding phase, the elaboration phase, you'll be saving much of the code and reusing it for the next phase. Thus, you once again move through iterations, cycling through workflows, such as analysis, design, and implementation. Oh, that's really cool. Okay. All right, so then it goes to the construction phase. Hi, Ryan. I'm not sure what's nice, but I'm glad something is. The construction phase. During the construction phase, you continue with the implementation, but by now, all your analysis and design should be pretty much finished. Everybody, including the famous stakeholders, agrees by now on what the software will and won't do, how much it will cost, how long it will take to build it, and how many people will work on it. But further, you have drawn up your groups of classes that you will be designing and have decided how the classes fit together and how they communicate with each other. Okay, so that's the kind of thing that we focused on in my advanced object-oriented programming course. The analysis and design is ready for prime time. And now you can focus on actually making this system work. Here you look for parts that don't quite fit together and you fix problems to make them fit together. You make sure that your system has no major holes whereby the entire thing could come to a crashing halt under a strange, unexpected situation. In a word, you make your software stable. If you were involved with computers in the early 1990s, when things were finally settling down and we were starting to see practical real software, you probably also saw something else. Little error messages that popped up called General Protection Faults, GPFs. GPFs appear when the application really screwed up bad, and the only way to fix the application was to attempt to click the ignore button to ignore the error, an option that, trust us, never worked, or abort the application. We remember those days well because they made us start to consider job offers from distant cousins who rented beach umbrellas on the Gulf of Mexico. Now, why did these errors happen? Because the software wasn't stable. You managed to put the software into a situation that the programmers didn't expect, and the thing choked, coughing up a general protection fault. And why did the programmers create software that allowed the situation to occur? Because they didn't thoroughly go through the construction phase. The construction phase includes implementation and testing workflows. That was a big thing that we learned in advanced also. I think I originally learned about it in like introductory like programming, but then it came again later. We learned again in advanced object-oriented programming. The construction phase includes implementation and testing workflows. You may have some analysis and design flaws, but they will be little. The main time you'll see these flaws is if, okay, hold on, let me make it all dark. It is all late. Okay, that's not too bad. I'm gonna have to go like soon because I have to eat. Let me see if I can try to finish. Oh, yay! Okay, I can finish this chapter. We're almost done with chapter 2. Yay. Thanks for helping me stay awake. Appreciate it. Oh, we're having. Wish you know how to read. I don't know. Really? I mean, technically speaking, if you want, I could try and do, not tonight, Brian Hardy, no, but I could just whip out some, what do you call it, reading type things. Okay. Because I'm just saying, okay. So here's the thing. I spend a lot of my time working with little people, and I don't mean little adults, but I mean the kid version. And a lot of them don't know how to read yet, and they're learning, and I spend a lot of time trying to help them with that. Okay, so I mean, eventually I'll probably end up doing some kids YouTube, but right now I'm just not really feeling it quite yet. Okay, let's see. I'm just going to start from the top again. The construction phase includes implementation and testing workflows. You may have some analysis and design flaws, but they will be little. The main time you'll see these flaws is if you find you forgot something or need to change something in the classes. Oh yeah, I remember going through that. That, ooh. I have to say, honestly, C++ was kicking my butt when I was first just going through it. Like, again, not with this book, but just what I could find, what I could Google. And, like, so many things would just break. And it was like, okay, now I gotta find this fix. And now I gotta find this fix. And now I gotta find this fix. And eventually I kept with it. I found a thing. And I cited my sources. But it's like, but then finally it started like dying me. Oh, I used the wrong thing here. Oh, I have to do that instead. La la la. Oh, okay. But it's like, yeah, I understand what they're saying. That was anytime you had to make one little change, suddenly you're just going through the ropes again, and it's like, oh no, this shouldn't be this gruesome. But I made it work. I didn't need to do C++. I did have the option of Java, but I couldn't remember how to do Java. That's the thing. And I couldn't remember how to do Python. It's like, oh, gee whiz. But, I think I like it being in the class, so I think all in all it worked out okay. Okay. Class, by now you'll be going through the iterations of written code, testing, and finally more testing. When the testers encounter errors, you go back and fix the code. Then eventually the testers determine that they can't fix any more bugs. The day is done. You're ready to ship. Thus, if you follow the construction phase properly, you will limit the number of operating system errors that pop up when your application goes haywire, because if you did everything correctly, it shouldn't go haywire. Tip: if you're heading up a project where you'll be using REP to design a large-scale software system, you will want to give your testers a certain amount of authority. Think of the testers as the quality assurance people, and in fact, some companies call them QA engineers instead of testers. Your testers, oh really? I've been seeing that on the job postments. Okay. Okay, so I just got done with effectively 10 years of a project that involved getting into grad school and then going through grad school. And I've done a lot of coding. I'd say there was like maybe like 10 classes that involved coding in them through that whole time, through the before and then like, so every class there's at least like 4 or 5 projects you have to do, so about 50 or something. Oh, Black Superintendent, like, no worries, no apologies required, and no disrespect. I get it. A lot of people, they're like, see like random ladies sitting along, and it's like, oh, maybe she is available, but I'm sorry, I'm not. Just have a very interesting life. But hopefully you're still interested in just hanging out and enjoying live streaming time and or dancing videos. That's what I can offer. Okay. And then probably do some like making videos as I have time, but right now just dancing videos and live streaming is fun times. Let's see. So, talking about the QA and the testers, your testers shouldn't allow your company to put its name on the software until they say it works. Italics. I say quote, but it's italics. How do you do that? Like this? This has multiple benefits because it allows the QA engineers to feel a certain amount of authority, and it also puts a heavy responsibility on them, which will help ensure that they do a thorough, because you never can be, you can never really know. Seen Witter and done Witter? I don't know. Was that in respect to something I said or something that was said in the comments? I don't know. Chat? This is a chat. That's right. If you'd like to, please do clarify, Ryan. That'd be great. Okay. Okay, authority and put the heavy weight on them, which will help ensure that they do a thorough job, and that will help ensure that your software is both good and stable. Sounds like a good plan to us. Okay. That transition phase. That transition phase is both the happiest time and the scariest. As a software engineer, we know that this can be a frightening time because the final moment of truth has arrived. Did you and the rest of the team build a product that is actually going to work? Or is it going to get out on the customer's computer and crash and burn? Most likely because you did everything correctly in the first three phases. The software will run on the customer's computers. However, just because you did it right doesn't mean that you won't be anxious. Well, relax. If you are shipping a piece of software on to one specific customer, you and the other engineers would probably be on hand that day for the big installation. It may not go perfectly at first, but in our experience, most of the problems will not involve faulty software. Rather, the customer's computers will not be set up quite right. Fortunately, such problems are pretty easy to track down and fix. See, that's where it's nice to have something like app apps for like Android or even like the iPhone, because they're supposed to have a certain software, and if the customer is doing their best, the owner of the mobile device is doing their best to keep it updated, then all should work wonderfully, and you should be able to test things out quite easily with a Android simulator or whatever. But hard to say. Oh, right. Thank you. I was thinking you were maybe talking about that, but I wasn't sure. But yeah, it's all good. I just appreciate people coming by, checking things out. But yeah, this is just hear me just trying to hang out with some people virtually. Yeah, share some C++ time, at least tonight. Okay, let's see. Rather, Rather, the customer's computers will not be set up quite right. Fortunately, such problems are pretty easy to track down and fix. But if you're shipping software that will be sold through the retail chains to potentially, it's interesting. That is no longer the case. The 2014 is no longer the 2024. Oh boy. 10 years. 10 years. Oh boy. But the point is, now what you put just stays in the digital version, and you can just, whether it's through Amazon or whatever. I mean, even a Norton, it used to be, I'm aging myself. It used to be when you wanted to get that annual Norton, you had to go to your Fry's Electronics here in California. Not really a thing anymore. Or your Best Buy or wherever, your Walmart, and you bought a box that had discs in it, and you upload the disc. Now, if you go somewhere to buy something, it's just like a Nintendo Switch kind of thing, where you go and it's a code, and you put the code in, and it downloads the thing based on the code. It's like, okay. I mean, technically, you download the thing and then use the code to get the authorization saying that you purchased the thing. But it's like, wow. I wonder if there's an updated book to this version of this book. Because that is definitely, I mean, again, that's like a small thing, which is funny. Like, because I got to, like, witness things when I was using a computer, and it was a CRT screen, and it was the black layout and the green text, and wow, it's just amazing. That's part of the reason I ended up in computer science. Just, it's really hard to resist, like, how cool all of this has been, and to think about where we could be going in the future. But I don't know. I'm still considering we're gonna go in front of Blade Runner kind of deal. But if you're shipping software that will be sold through For the retail chains to the potentially millions of people, the transition phase has an important step that many companies don't think of. The final step, you choose a work date and invite all the employees who want to come in for a giant beat up the software party. Yeah, they all come in and you pass out CD-ROMs containing your software. These are copies of the CD-ROM you intend to ship. Assuming that all goes well today, the employees get free pizza and soft drinks. Beer isn't allowed on company property. Besides, you want them thinking clearly, and they get to beat the stuffing out of your software. They install it, play with it, manipulate it, use it, fiddle with it, and do everything they can with it. And in the process, give it a pounding they will never forget. And if they encounter a problem, they let you know, politely of course. But, uh, but your personal job on this date is not to join them in testing the software. Your job is to get to work fixing any problems they find. Generally, they will be minor problems, and you'll be able to crank out the fixes in no time. Tip: if you actually have a big test day like this, try to make it as exciting as possible. Free pizza, free soft drinks, maybe loud, fun music. Oh, now that sounds like a good time. I, I, one day I would like to try to make like study jams, kind of like this, like kind of how they do like the hackathons. Like, that sounds like a fun time. Another thing that probably didn't exist that much or wasn't that popular when this book was first published. Funny. Oh, hacker computer movie? Oh, okay. I'm kind of, okay. Technically speaking, I'm kind of odd, and I know it's likely not counted as a good movie, but I really liked Virtual, shoot, what is that movie? It was Val Kilmer. There was a movie that Val Kilmer was in, and I think he was like the villain, and that was a trip. Whatever movie that was, I cannot think of the title right now. That was Virtuosity. I think it's Virtuosity, something like that. Something like that. But Val Kilmer is definitely the villain in the movie, and I can't remember if Denzel was in it or not. But that's a fun one. Oh, I don't know if you heard for that part, but effectively all my references are way old. I spent 10 years doing the whole grad school things, like getting into and then getting through, and wow, I just couldn't really do much of other things. And then my boyfriend, he started getting sick again. Um, so I still don't really have much time for a lot of current pop culture stuff, but music I keep up with. I keep up with the music. That's easy enough. Just have the radio on. Whew. Free pizza, free soft drinks, maybe loud for music blasting, and maybe a relaxing room where people can go and goof off for a few minutes and forget about the project. Believe us, these folks will enjoy this special day if you make it exciting for them. And the result, of course, is a successful software package. Okay, so that seems still relevant, even though it's technically not this anymore. But yeah, you do want to get people to who's not you, because there's nothing wrong just in general having a fresh set of eyes on things, because there's only so much that you could think of, and there's only so much that you can like figure out by yourself, because you're going to think how you're going to think, and you're not necessarily going to know how to think how other people think. And sometimes they think in a way where they're able to test things out that you just, like for instance, it's not software, but I was just at a school yesterday, and they were stalling for time. The teachers were stalling for time because they were waiting for the attendance to get started, but it wasn't happening. It wasn't happening quite then and there. We were waiting for the person to be able to make it over. And so all of a sudden, they were like, oh, let's play mirror. So they basically, it's like, oh, okay, if I do it, then you gotta do it, blah, blah, blah. And then you could see on their faces, some of the kids who were there, they were trying to do their mirroring, and you could just tell that they were just stuck. They were just stuck. They were having to think of, oh, now what should I try to do next? And part of it is like, okay, I don't want to do anything too silly because it's probably going to make, because they're fifth graders, so it's probably going to make me seem a little just too off, and I don't want to worry about it. And I happen to be working with students with disabilities, and one of the ones I was helping out, I was like, oh, I hope he gets a turn. One, he really wanted a turn, but two, I was like thinking, oh, he doesn't have a hang up. He is just gonna go, and he's just gonna enjoy himself, and he's gonna just have fun with it. And he totally did. And I'm like, okay, great. Like, that's kind of what you want to do. You don't want to have to be locked in to a certain way of thinking. Because as long as you have this whole situation, you have to go down the checklist stuff, oh, well, this making me look crazy or stupid or whatever, it's like freezes you and you just limits kind of the freedom that you could have in expressing yourself, but you didn't have to deal with all that. What? Yes. Whatever that vodka movie is. Okay. Moving forward with UML. Although you spend much of the time on the construction phase, a lot of the brain work is analysis and design phases. That's where UML comes into play. Use UML to map your classes, draw them, work with them, and design them. Therefore, for the rest of Minibook 2, you find various discussions about UML and processes that usually take place during analysis and design. However, some take place during the requirements phase. The next two chapters focus on the 9 types of diagrams you use during your requirements gathering, analysis, and design. The first chapter focuses on the static diagrams, and the next chapter focuses on the dynamic diagrams. And that's it. I'm done with chapter 2, which means I'm done with this live stream. Wow, I was fully expecting to be done in like 20 minutes. Wow, okay. Thank you. This has been a really pleasant experience. Thanks so much for coming by, but I do need to go ahead. Oh, just in time, because it looks like my internet's starting to do weird things. Was that doing that all along? Oh, my timer reset. I mean, not my timer, but my live counter. Am I still here? That was strange. Oh, I guess I am still here if you're able to see maybe. Oh, you're just being facetious again. Okay, Mr. Jokester. I'm definitely used to jokers. My dad's one, my boyfriend's one, just tee-hee. I am. High schooler is love. Teasing myself. Me here? Yes, I'm too easy. Alright, that being said, as far as I know, you could be one too. I am too easy. There's a reason I rather not. Kind of have to limit. I love co-teaching. If it's a junior high, if it's a high school, co-teaching is in the mix, great. Stay in the special ed rooms, great. Some schools, though, I don't. General ed is not for me in some schools. But okay, that being said, I don't know. So I did start off going to the community college that I went to because of film, and I was trying to do film. But I ended up kind of falling in love with philosophy. And had they had that available as a major, I would have totally ended up with that as my major, but they didn't. So, but no, maybe, kind of. I don't know. That's a good question. Are any of us here and what that means? What's reality? What's truth, etc.? I don't know. But let's at least try to come to some kind of consensus some of the time, maybe. I don't know. That being said, I do have to go eat. I am very hungry. Whoever was cooking, well, not whoever, my neighbor was cooking something very yummy, and that reminded me, I like food. I have to go eat something. And it's that time again, either way. So, I think I gotta sign off. I don't. Ryan, is that you who are still here? Who's still here? Who's still here? Who's still here? I don't want to be rude and sign off without you seeing bye if you are still here. But also, if you aren't still here, then how rude am I being? Okay, well, that's, I guess, time. I guess you're just not here or giving again. Love it. Thank you. All right, so please do consider subscribing. Please do also check out things. I do have things from way back. And then the most recent things I've been doing have been dancing. Just a bunch of that. Shorts with dancing. not dancing shorts, but you know, the YouTube shorts that feature dancing. Improvisational dancing, I just kind of wing it. Um, I'm looking forward to doing some more Halloween type things. In fact, probably before I eat, I have to go and do a couple of Halloween uh, type dances real quick. Thankfully, they're short. Hence the shorts, whatever. Um, so here, Becky828 here on YouTube. But if you're also interested in random dancing, that's kind of a passion lately. I also have that TikTok, Becky828. You can find me through there. Um, yeah, Saber Dipper. I am definitely gonna go dance, eat, yay, eat, dance. Probably eat and dance. That gives me an opportunity to let the TikTok and the YouTube short that I just did before I start this live stream get a few more whatever they're gonna do. Because I find out that if I space the shorts too close together, it seems to affect the second one will kind of mess up the first one, or the first one will mess up the second one. So it's like, okay, whatever. All right, well, that's me continuing to ramble. Bye, Ryan. And anyone else who may be here, it says one person, so I think it's trying, but bye. And thank you. And later, sometime, subscribe if you want to be sure, because I don't have a schedule. I'm just winging things. Okay, thanks. Bye bye.